Hello, Stellar Blade people. So this is the part where I talk about the build, and I'll do my best to sound all fucking amped up like I'm a normal, social person who's not sitting alone in my bedroom talking to myself like an asshole. Alright, so first we've got Suppression Spine. Everyone loves this one. I love it, you love it. Word in the street is that Miyazaki mains this shit. First, it'll increase your shield penetration. When you attack an enemy, your damage is split between their shield and their HP. So this just means that more of your damage will affect their HP directly. Next, it'll increase knockdown duration on enemies. You see how fast these bosses get their sweet thick asses up off the ground, so anything you can do to keep them knocked down longer is gonna give you the time to build more burst energy off them. And finally, you'll do increased damage to downed enemies. Next we have the Burst Spine, and if this one doesn't get the juices flowing, I don't know what does. First, it'll increase your total burst supply. I don't really know who's out there like fucking hoarding burst energy like Charmin Ultra in quarantine, but whatever, it's fine, I'll take it. Next, it'll increase the damage of burst skills. And finally, when you land a level 4 combo, you'll build some burst energy. But if you thought that was enough burst charge for this build, well, let me tell you, you gotta put some Tiger Bomb up on that shit, because you are sorely mistaken. Down here, we've got a burst charge gear giving us more burst. We need copious amounts of burst. In fact, this one over here, any guesses what this one provides? I'll give you 2 hints. It rhymes with thirst, and it is burst. Then we've got these 2 bad bitches down here giving us burst skill damage. Look at this shit, look at these values. You haven't experienced damage like this since that time your girlfriend told you she feels like your mother. But of course, like everyone knows, a build is pretty much like a penis. Having it doesn't mean shit if you don't know how to use it, so I'm gonna try to give you a little guidance on how to use it. The build, I mean. And time permitting, the penis as well. So here's the strat. In Phase 1, we're looking for opportunities to build burst energy. This means working in a few more dodges than you typically use. In most fights, you still want to do some parries too though to build up some beta energy, because in Phase 2, our beta supply becomes the main source of our burst supply. Feel free to use Punishing Edge a little in Phase 1 as well, but try to be mindful of when all the different bosses activate their tactical iframe duration, because that shit will just straight up rob you of your damage and resources. Thankfully, you can still generate beta and burst energy off the boss, even though they're not taking damage. Several bosses let out a huge ass AoE blast as they transition into Phase 2, but for a lot of them, the blast doesn't actually do damage, it just knocks you back, so don't be afraid of it, just keep slapping away at the boss's hamstrings, get all that juicy beta and burst energy. If you get hit by the blast, whatever, don't sweat it. If you can dodge it, that's cool too. What's really spicy is that you can tank through the blast with any attack that has stagger resistance. I show this in the Belial, whatever the fuck. I show it in that fight. Phase 2 is when we really take the bosses to pound down and knock their tits in the sand. We use Punishing Edge to knock them down. Suppression Spine keeps them knocked down a good long time, so we have time to get in our level 4 combo. We tag Beta Chain onto the end of it by holding the last input. Beta Chain consumes some beta and turns it into burst energy. And then the Burst Spine gives us more burst energy for landing a level 4 combo. And then the 2 burst charge gears will increase those burst gains. Now when it comes to level 4 combos, you have 2 choices. You have Onslaught 4 and Incursion 4. I'm not going to tell you which one to use, they're both perfectly valid choices. I would never try to dictate how someone else plays the game. I would never say you need to use this or you need to use that. Just not the kind of person I am, and that's just not the kind of channel this is. Having said that, you gotta fucking use Onslaught 4. It's the jam. Of course, realistically, you won't always be able to get in a full level 4 combo on the down boss, and that's totally fine. You don't always need to. Just get in whatever combos you can manage to farm whatever burst you can. And as long as your beta doesn't get really low, like practically empty, then you're almost always going to be able to farm enough burst off the downed boss to fuel your next Punishing Edge so you can repeat the cycle. It's a simple loop. Knock the boss's tits in the sand, farm burst off the boss. Tits in the sand, farm burst. Tits, burst. Tits, burst. Sometimes you blast the boss into a different zip code and you have to go chase them down, and then sometimes you don't even have rush to do it, so you have to run like a total peasant. If that happens and you think you might lose control of the boss and they're going to slip away like a little bitch, just use Shock Grenade to keep them incapacitated. Shock is also really helpful if you think you might run out of energy, especially beta. Just knock them down with a Shock Grenade and then use that one cycle just to generate some energy. One thing that's really helpful is try to position yourself to knock the boss into a corner or against a wall, then keep them pinned there as long as possible so you don't have to waste time chasing them down. I was able to do this to Corruptor pretty easily. I kinda did it with Abaddon. I found that I could knock him to the left instead of to the right, where all the exploding barrels were. Abaddon, I kinda just feel bad killing this dude this fast, because he's just, look at him, he has the fucking moves of an angel. This guy is so fucking graceful. I feel like if Abaddon had made better choices in life, he could have been in Cirque du Soleil or some shit. But instead he's like, nah, my dream is to fight on the rooftops of abandoned buildings. Belial was really easy to keep pinned. This wall over here has so many fucking nooks and crannies that the grandpa from the Thomas English Muffins commercial would be having sweet dreams of this shit all night long. And I'm not talking about dry ones either, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, I'm saying that the grandpa in this fictitious scenario is ejaculating his bed in the evenings. It's also worth noting that Raven was the one fight where I struggled to maintain beta energy. Like we've all discovered, when Raven is down, it's extremely difficult to contact her, making it unusually tough to build beta. Upon closer examination, I was able to deduce that this is actually not caused by the orientation of Raven's hitbox, but rather by the general inability of Stellar Blade players to touch a woman. If for whatever reason you're struggling with beta energy in any fights, here's what you can do. Swap out your lowest level burst charge gear for your highest level beta charge gear. Hopefully you've got the level 3 Mark II that gives you 13%. You're giving up a little burst charge, but you're getting some beta energy, and ultimately that extra beta energy is going to turn into burst energy anyway, so you're not really sacrificing that much at all. You might be tempted to swap out suppression for beta spine, but I wouldn't recommend that. You're giving up a lot. You're giving up that 24% shield penetration. You're giving up that increased knockdown duration, which you know I love so fucking much. Why would you give that up? And you're giving up that big titty energy 27% damage on the downed enemy. You'll notice that I only use overdrive sparingly here. It's a great ability, especially on NG+, where when it's fully upgraded, it buffs all damage types. But it's not really that impactful for this build, because it requires 3 blocks of burst energy, which otherwise would have given you an extra punishing edge. Use it if you want, but don't feel pressured to. It's certainly not integral to this build. And incidentally, just in case anyone has ever wondered about this, burst damage buffs will not increase the values of overdrive. So feel free to make whatever adjustments you want to suit your needs. When you do everything right and everything goes to plan, you can bypass like 95% of the boss's phase 2 moveset. Sometimes literally 100%. Not fake literally, like all the kids are saying when they're jamming out to their kids bop and smoking candy cigarettes and shit. Real literally. Belial got off like fucking 2 attacks in his entire fight. Mother Sphere has officially moved him to bitch class of Natiba. Alright, and that concludes our build discussion. Goodbye.